when you walked in and saw the beautiful place, you knew Val Dowdy had been here, right? And I hesitate to name a litany of names because I'll leave someone out. But our staff and all the volunteers that have made this evening possible have devoted themselves to this great work, and it's already bearing fruit in your laughter, in your stories, in the fellowship. The kingdom's already happening. So here we are. I would say this evening is the celebration of a birth, of a new parish, a new faith community, a new witness to the life, suffering, death, and resurrection of Christ. We're still learning what St. Josephine Bakhita wants her parish to be, but we are wholly dedicated to finding our way together. And so I'll just begin this story with, it was 2 years ago today that Archbishop Brzezinski communicated just to our parish that he had accepted our recommendation that St. Josephine Bakhita become our patron saint. And he was very clear in his communication on Monday, October 9th, 2023. The answer is yes, you will be St. Josephine Bakhita Parish, but it's not official, it's not public until the formal decree is issued. And that took a while because it involves formal language and a press release. So that was 2 days later. We had sent an internal email among us, but it was the press release and the formal decree from Archbishop Brzezinski issued at 6 a.m. on Wednesday, October 11th, 2023. And as you know, or many of you have seen, every Wednesday at noon, if he's available, and this week he was, Pope Francis was available to lead the praying of the Angelus and offer remarks. And that's every Wednesday. So what happens is the Vatican press office releases the Pope's prepared remarks, and then right after the Angelus, they pick their favorite quotes and put out their articles, so it gets all over the world like very quickly after the praying of the Angelus. And on that day, the Angelus begins at noon in Rome. The press release went out in St. Louis at 6 a.m., which is noon in Rome. And during his remarks, and this is how the press reported it, the Holy Father looked up from his prepared remarks and said, "What is the spirit of Bakhita?" Now, in his prepared remarks, he had already intended to use her as an example, but that powerful witness, he looked up from his prepared remarks and in that moment said, "What is the spirit of Bakhita?" And so the Holy Father in that moment was asking us, who do you want to be? And he had a couple of suggestions for us. She's the courageous one who frees not only the oppressed, but also the oppressors through forgiveness, through mercy. And from that moment, Pope Francis, together with Archbishop Brzezinski, and I would say St. Josephine Bakhita, have invited us into this mission. And we've accepted the call. So I want to pull a thread from the heart of St. Josephine Bakhita all the way through to this moment. So February 8th, 1947, St. Josephine Bakhita died in Italy. On September 21st of that same year, 1947, Archbishop Ritter here in St. Louis ended the segregation of Catholic schools and mandated that all the schools be integrated in St. Louis at grave cost to himself and great courage and leadership. Then, on March 21st, 1965, right after Bloody Sunday, the team of Martin Luther King Jr. called out all over the country, but they reached Charles Vatterott here in St. Louis and said, "We need help." And he, together with Cardinal Ritter, talked to Monsignor John Shockley, Sister Antona Ebo, and within a few days, they had arranged for 2 planes and a suitcase full of cash for bail for a delegation from St. Louis to accompany the march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge on March 21st, 1965. We were part of that. And Charles Vatterott was doing a lot behind the scenes. He was the only one who could find money for black people to buy homes. He had to start his own bank because he saw the injustice of what was happening. And of course, you know Monsignor Shockley. He was pastor of St. Bridget Parish. Some of you have known him. Father Jerry Kleba is with us tonight. There's Father Tim Cook's with us too. It's just a rich tradition that runs deep in our bones. Then a couple other highlights for me. August of 1979 was the opening of Cardinal Ritter College Prep High School. And then the fall of 2003 was the opening of the new campus of Cardinal Ritter College Prep. And I think Tamiko Armstead is here, standing on the, I don't know if she's able to make it, but she's the president of Cardinal Ritter, standing on the shoulders of Carmel Hall and Leon Henderson and continuing that great work. January 21st, 1983, on Edith Cunnane's 40th birthday, she opened St. Patrick's Center, and her outreach and the openness of her heart to that ministry has led to great things among Catholic charities and other agencies in the city. On October 1st of 2000, St. Josephine Bakhita became a saint. We knew she was a saint, but we actually called her that then on October 1st, 2000. And then all the way up to this moment, this morning, you might have seen it in the press a couple days ago, but it was published. Our Holy Father, Pope Leo XIV's first encyclical, his first teaching for us, Dilexite Te, I have loved you. And it's a short 40-page exhortation. Is that for an encyclical? 40 pages is short, and it's. I don't want to summarize it, because he's much more eloquent than I, but he's fundamentally inviting us to remember that the privileged place of the poor in our lives is not accidental to the gospel. It's central to the gospel. That's what our Holy Father is asking us to pay attention to. And so I am so grateful to all the partnerships of really the 4 parishes that give witness in North St. Louis, the College Church, Katie's, Father Scott Scheider here from St. Peter Claver, St. Alphonsus Rock Church, and St. Josephine Bakhita. We are committed to proclaiming this gospel in this sacred land, no matter what it takes. And so I believe that the spirit of St. Josephine Bakhita runs through all of it, and indeed in all of our hearts. So again, I'm grateful to all of you for being here. And you're going to hear a little bit more about the good news of what's happening in our community as we honor some of our most important witnesses and partners in this great work of St. Josephine Bakhita Parish. Thank you all.
Thank you, Father Mitch, for your prophetic, passionate leadership and faithfulness to this work.